It really is pretty incredible. I'm looking at a book that I found from Business Finishing School. When I went to Business Finishing School, this is the 11th boot camp that was put on by Business Finishing School. That would have been February. That would have been February of 17. And I had been in the program for 2 years by then. My buddy Rick Sapio had been after me for 2 years before that to get involved in the program. And looking through my booklet here, I would have been in the program for 2 years. And I remember him doing an exercise, and I'm sure some of you have seen it, the big rock and the small rock exercise. Most of us fill the jar with small rocks, and therefore there's no room for the big rocks, the stuff that really matters. And I remember going through that exercise at Business Finishing School, that boot camp in February of 2017, and I ended up writing down a bunch of stuff. And I just by chance was looking at this book before we fired up live. Welcome, everybody. It's great to see you. Janice, Aaron, Blake, Dan, Mike, good evening to you guys. Everybody on Instagram, it's great to see you as well as we get people firing up and we start. But I just want to ask you a question. What would your life look like if everything that you wrote down that you wanted for your life actually materialized? What if it actually came through for you? Because when I go through this, I'm going to read just a couple of these to you, of the things that I was writing down. This is 2 years ago, and I'd already been in the program 2 years. We'd already torched Commercial Fleet. We had taken Commercial Fleet from $100 million, and we basically rebuilt the entire company based on the Business Finishing School stuff. Primarily core values and mission statement and catalyzing statement. And this is what I wrote down 2 years ago, and it's amazing to me how much of this actually came true. The first thing I wrote down under the big rocks is family first. There's no question that happens for me, family first. The second thing I wrote is complete the installation of Business Finishing School into CFF. Done. Constant training of our staff at CFF. Check. Reduce drama within our HR department. Almost no drama in HR now. Check. Complete the installation of weekly rhythms within CFF. Check. Define all niches within CFF. Check. Leave the office every day at 4 p.m. Check. Regain a 20% profit margin. Check. And grow annual fundings to 150 million plus. Check. Under my personal big rock section, I put family first, really, and I put in big exclamation point, really know my kids. Check. Complete the writing of You Need More Money, the book. Check. Continue my fitness goals. Check. Make more connections with influencers on social media. Check. And allocate more money to passive investments. Check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 things written down 2 years ago, 15 things achieved. Are you even writing your stuff down? Are you even writing out your lifestyle by design? All the things that your life is supposed to look like? All the things that are supposed to be part of who you are and how your life plays out? Do you have them on paper? Have you done this yet? Whether you do it in your own world or you come to an event to do it, the question isn't where it gets done. The question is it done? You know, I was talking to my friend Jeffrey Gitomer recently, and Jeffrey Gitomer, if you're not familiar with him, he's written many books. The Little Red Book of Sales, I'm not sure how many millions, tens of millions of copies that sold. And I said, why do you like to write so much, dude? Why is writing so important to you? And he said, because when you write it down on paper, it produces a deeper level of clarity in your thought process. He's 100% right. So my challenge to you tonight is, when we're done, bust out that piece of paper, do what I tell you to do, and get You Need More Money, and write down your lifestyle by design. The stuff that you want to accomplish in your life, what you want your life to look like, must be written down on a piece of paper for you to be able to check often. Sometimes you don't even need to look at it all the time. Sometimes just the process of writing it down will begin the manifestation process, and it will begin to happen for you. So that's the challenge as we start tonight. Do you have your lifestyle by design written down? Anywhere, piece of paper, folded up in your wallet. Where do you have it? Where do you keep it? Where does it exist? What happens to it? Because what you're looking at here, these are my goals. I write my goals down. I laminate them. We have a lamination machine in my office. I put them in my wallet. I carry them everywhere. I constantly refer back to them to stay laser focused on what it is that I need to achieve in my life. It's a requirement, folks. It's a requirement of success. Without the clarity of taking your thoughts and putting it down on paper, you're just toying with the most important thing called your fucking life. Time to get serious about it. Time to unpack it. Time to build it out. Time to write it down. And then it's time to live it. Enough is enough, man. I've seen enough death in my life recently, between my brother-in-law, John, passing at 46, my best friend on the planet dying this year, a few months ago at 48, my wife's best friend passing around the same time as my best friend this fall at 56. It's time to get serious about this thing called your life, man. Enough jacking around with it. Enough messing around without your money situation right, without your career path squared away, without knowing your kids, without having a great, amazing relationship with your spouse and significant others and your friends and your family. It's time to tap into that stuff, man. You only get one run at this thing called your fucking life. Get serious about it. Write it down on paper. Explain it to other people and live the damn thing. But it starts by writing it down. I appreciate a lot of the great stuff my buddy Joe puts out here. You Need More Money is such a great book. You nailed it. Thank you, my friend. My buddy Billy is talking about my best friend. I did, Billy. I was on Cardone's Power Player. That was my second time being on Cardone's Power Player. And it was right around the time about my buddy being sick. It was very, very, very sad. And he did pass. He passed 2 months after he got sick. The fortunate thing is that my buddy had some money. And so he didn't leave his family in a tough spot. That's the whole principle of this book, You Need More Money. A lot of people think there's investment strategies in here, and there is. But the reality of You Need More Money is the fucking wake-up call that says most people are so woefully behind financially, and they're just toying with it. They're just jerking around with this thing called their life. And the first part of the book is to wake you up. The second part is to give you the roadmap of how you start to fix it. My friend Albert Preciado, welcome, buddy. Ryan, great to see you. Mark Jennison Jr., great to see you. Pedro, thanks for jumping on. Jenny Walker, nice to see you, Jenny. Kimberly, great to see you. Monique, great to see you. Jimbo Carroll with the checkbox. Jimbo checked in. Love to see you guys, man. Appreciate the likes, the shares. Couple reminders. Please do me a favor and subscribe to Matt Manero on YouTube. Turn on your notifications so we can definitely stay in contact. Make sure that you get notified when I go live. Check out my stories and my highlights on Instagram. I've been putting a lot of stuff up there, and hopefully those little 10-second buggers help you. The whole purpose of what I'm doing now is to try to help more people condense the time it takes to be successful. I've been in business. This is my 24th year in business. I waited too long. I wasted a decade of those 23, 24 years thinking too small, thinking that I wasn't worthy of getting somebody else's attention, thinking that until the business got to a certain level that I couldn't get somebody else to care about me, thinking that I didn't need a network or an accountability group or connections to people in the community, or to be frank with you, that I needed to be a great leader. I thought I just had to be this sales guy who had to keep pushing deals, pushing deals, pushing deals. And I was missing all the HR problems that were going on around me. I found the solution at Business Finishing School. And I challenge everyone to look at your business and look at your life. Business Finishing School, of course, it sounds businessy, and it is very specific to business, but it's also an unbelievable wake-up call about what is the strategic planning of your life, because they go hand in hand. Megan put it in on Instagram, and thank you. It's bfssummit.com, bfssummit.com, February 22nd, 23rd, and 24th in Dallas, Texas. I don't want to be harsh about it, but I think you're crazy not to come, especially when I give the discount. The code tonight is MATT, all caps, 100. It costs you $699. We're sold out of the $599. We're sold out of the $699. All we have left are $799 tickets, and I'm giving you the $100 off. It costs you $699. The whole event, plane, hotel, everything costs you $1,100-1,200, and you might make, I don't know, $1 million from it. It's absolutely one of the best investments you can make. I wouldn't be involved in it. So Robert Stern, thank you for putting it in on Facebook, and as well as Megan, thank you for putting it in on Facebook. Let's move to some questions, guys. What is on your mind tonight? Let me ask you a question. Give me a hand signal, give me a wave, if you have actually, in the last 6 months, written out the clarity of your lifestyle by design. If you literally have it on a piece of paper, please give me the hand. Luke wants to come on and he wants to talk about a non-compete versus a non-disclosure. He's building a sales team and he wants some advice. Luke, I'm going to bring you in just a second. I'd love to talk to you about that. I know a lot about that. But again, I'm looking for hands from people that if you have written out your lifestyle by design, clearly articulated on a piece of paper, and you know exactly what the next 12 months, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years looks like for you. I'm looking for hands, peeps. I'm looking for hands. I'm looking for hands. Mike Hulsey at least was honest enough to say he has it. My friend, I challenge you, get this book. Follow the steps I talk about on how to follow your lifestyle by design and build it out, and let's rock and roll. I'm going to bring in Luke here on Instagram real quick. We're going to talk about sales, non-competes. I love it. Let's rock and roll here, Lukey. Luke, ask again. I don't know whether that worked. There he is.
How are you, my friend?
Dude, I'm doing great. And you?
Dude, happy almost early birthday.
Yeah, about 5 weeks to go, big boy.
Coming up quick. I'm so impressed with your goal of losing 50 pounds. You actually inspired me to get back into the gym, so I got a trainer, and I'm pumping it out every day, 6 days a week. I love it. I love what you're doing. Thank you so much for all the inspiration and everything. I love the book. Read that about 6 to 8 months ago, and dude, it's changed my life.
How awesome is that? Dude, thanks for saying that, man. I really appreciate that. That's awesome.
And I love how you're jumping into a pool at like 40 degrees. I'm up here in McKinney, which is, I think, up north of you.
Yeah.
You know where McKinney, Texas
is?
Of
course.
Yeah. So I'm up here in McKinney, so it's freezing cold today. I was surprised to see you jump in there. So you're like a rock star.
Dude, you know what I mean? That's the beautiful part. You know what I mean. If you live in the Dallas area and you see this lunatic, going in a 40-something degree water and the air temp today, you're like, this guy's a crazy man. But that's why I do it.
I think 30, 37, 38 degrees. It's pretty crazy.
Cool. Hey, let's dig into your question tonight about non-competes and all that. So ask the question so everybody hears it.
Yes. So I love what you said the other night, and I wanted to dive more into this because I'm looking at building a sales team for my marketing company, And so I've heard a lot of people say, look, you can get, non-competes, but they don't hold up and they're a waste. But I need to do something also so that people aren't just coming in, getting trained, and then leaving. And so when I heard you say non-disclosure, I was like, oh, that's really interesting, and I wanted to learn more. So I know you're the guy that's done it and been there, and so I wanted to get it from you because you're the expert.
Cool. I'm happy to comment on it. So non-competes are hard to uphold, and the reason for that is the courts don't like to decide against a person's ability to make a living. And so the better way to play that is to think about a confidentiality agreement rather than a non-compete agreement, in which your company, upon the person's employment, will share confidential information, whether that's clients, whether that's processes, whether that's systems, whether it's software, technology, whatever that is. And that becomes paramount to the business success. And so that person, when they leave your organization, does not have the right to take that. That's how you work the system to protect yourself in that regards. Now, as I mentioned the other night, and I'll mention again tonight, we have a confidentiality agreement that specifically says you can leave our company at any time, you can go work for a competitor, you can start your own business in our industry. You just can't take your clients or your vendors with you. And we have had two very successful outcomes in forcing that issue. Again, I'm not trying to stop someone from putting food on their family's plate, but I am stopping them from taking food off of our plate. And so you got to understand a couple things. The litigation is expensive. It's uncomfortable. It burns a lot of mental energy. And it's hard as the business is just getting going to drop 10 or 15 or 20 or 50 grand on litigation. But it is important to get documentation in place. Even if you don't enforce it, my friend, it's important because you get to see the person squirm when they sign it. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for that energy exchange when they're writing it down. And if they, like, I remember my number one guy, when we put our new agreement in place a couple of years ago, he's like, just sign my name to it. He's like, I'm all in. Don't worry about it. Now, I didn't sign his name to it, but you want that buy-in, dude. You want people to say, I'm in it for this company. This document is not what I'm all about. I'm not looking to skirt. I'm looking to be all in. And that's one of the beautiful parts about putting the document in place. So I hope that helps. What type of business are you in, big guy? You're in the construction or landscape business, right?
Okay, so that's an interesting question. Yeah, I know you're really busy and you've got a lot of other people, but when I was 15, I needed to start making some money to buy vehicles because my parents told me that they weren't going to buy it for me, so I started hustling. Picked up 6 houses freshman year of high school. By senior year, I was doing 100 houses a week. From senior year to now, when I'm 22, I built that company to 650 yards a week. We just went over $1.1 million, and I actually just recently sold that company. And now the reason, because I read you need more money, I was making $60,000 to $75,000 a year with the lawn care company. Read your book. I set the new number for $360,000. Reassessed where I was, the industry that I was in. Realized that everything that's going on, not to get political, but everything that's going on right now, it's really hard to build a company that size now because there's not enough people, as you know, in 105 degrees that are going to work day in, day out for $30,000, $40,000 a year. So I needed to get into another platform. And so once I sold the company, I invested into an SEO company.
Okay.
Because that was the biggest thing that took my company from 100 yards a week to 650. It was 653 when I sold it. So from 100 to 653, the SEO was the biggest thing that we did. And so I needed something I could get 100% behind. And so now we're building a sales team. The company consisted of 2 salespeople. Now we're trying to take the 2 salespeople and go to 5 to 7 salespeople.
So you're out of that business. Now you're in the SEO business.
Correct. Just recently, just within the last 3 months.
Yeah, man.
So I've really been, I love your stuff. I've been on here almost every night just trying to lock this down. I love what you were saying about the goals because when I was 15, I set the goal that I was going to do $1 million in sales. We just broke that. Now, what I didn't know, and I wish people like you were around when I was 15 to be listening to, because if I wanted to do what I wanted to do in the lawn care company, I would have had to torch the company.
Yeah.
And so I sold it because I didn't want to go through that process, and I knew I was in the wrong platform.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I set that goal for $1 million plus in sales. $1 million plus in sales is great, but you know, there was still a lot of headaches. I was running myself ragged 7 days a week.
Dude, I know that business very, very well. I've financed countless landscapers over my career. You know, I know that business. It's a very difficult business to scale. You've got a relatively low barrier of entry for competition. You know, you've got consumers that aren't overly loyal to you. They actually will leave if you're charging $40 and somebody's going to charge $35. They actually leave over $5. I mean, I can't imagine that, but they do.
Yeah. Not to mention guys leaving gates open and letting dogs out into the street. And
totally.
It's just a nightmare to try to, you know, people call you over a sprinkler head being broken.
For sure. You could not, yeah, on top of the fact that it's fairly cyclical as well, right? I mean, and what a lot of people don't understand, I like your comments on this. I have a lot of customers who tell me this, that people think that a landscaper makes more money in the summertime because they're working so hard. They actually make less money in the summertime because that's when the mowers are breaking down and you got to mow every week and all that sort of stuff. You know?
Yeah, I know you've definitely dealt with a lot of those people because you're singing my language. But yeah. Well,
listen, dude, I appreciate your support. I would definitely get that document lined up.
Thank you, and I will be at the conference. I'm so looking forward to seeing you there. Everybody needs to go. So if you're watching this and you haven't gotten your ticket, get your ticket. Do it right now. Do it. Do it.
Dude, I can't wait to see you there. I'm looking forward to it. All right, buddy. Thanks for jumping on, man.
Appreciate you.
You got it. I appreciate you too.
Thank you so much for your time.
You got it. If anybody else wants to jump in, that's awesome, man. I appreciate it, man. That's a young guy. Already sold his company, read the book, following the process of determining what is the right platform. I talk about it so much in the book, You Need More Money. What is the right platform that you're in? Most people are in the wrong platform. They're not going to be able to make the kind of money that they need or they want or they wish in the platform that they're in. They will often have to either just deal with it or they'll have to change their platform. Some people might call it industry or space. I happen to call it platform. It's what do you do for a living? And most people really are in a bad spot there. Luke mentioned the goal setting. What's funny about what I'm reading here in Business Finishing School, this wasn't actually a goal setting exercise. This was just me writing down my wants, writing down my version of a lifestyle by design for this next period of time. And it all played out. I don't know what the count was. Was it 15, 16, 17, 18? 100% of them played out, y'all, in the 2-year period of time. Everything I wrote down played out. It's pretty incredible, actually. I got a question here from my young buck, my new buddy Samuel, that says, what if there are too many people on one platform? It is impossible. There are not too many people on one platform. Period. End of story. The top 1% of earners in every single industry is an incredible place to be. I don't care if you're a plumber. I don't care if you're a caddy on the PGA Tour. I don't care if you're mowing lawns, and I don't care if you're a private equity guy. If you're in the top 1% of any industry, it's the right place to be. The challenge is, how are you thinking? Are you thinking that you are, one of 99%, or are you thinking that you're part of the 1%? That's the difference. You've got to separate yourself from the masses as early on. Listen, my finance business competes with large publicly traded banks. Wells Fargo, GE, Bank of America. These guys could squash us, but there's enough room for the crumbs. There's enough room for 100 million plus that these guys don't even care about. So there's only 2 reasons to go into business, y'all. Period, end of story. There's only 2 reasons to go into business. The first reason is that your solution to the problem is so unique and so in demand that your solution to the problem is big enough. Very hard to do. What's an example of that? Sure, Microsoft and Bill Gates is an example of that. Sure, Zuckerberg is an example of that. Uber is an example of that. But for the rest of us, we need to be in a business that has so much market share that we can slide in and grab share before the big boys even care about it. In my industry of big rig truck financing, the big rigs that you see up and down the road, Wells Fargo last year did $3.5 billion in just truck financing. That doesn't include all the other financing that Wells did, $3.5 billion. And it's a multi-$100 billion niche of financing. And I saw that very early on, and I said, well, hell, I got to be able to grab 100 million of that, right? Took me a little longer than I thought. I went to cooking school, for God's sakes. I didn't know shit from Shinola, but I got there. It played out that way. And so you want to make sure that the business you're going into has market share so great that you can grab enough of the stuff that the big boys forgot about that you can get yourself rich. That's the idea. Only two reasons to go into business. The reason I just gave you, or that your product is solving a big enough problem that you actually will matter. That's how it plays out. And most people are somewhere in this middle, and they actually think that what they're doing is important, and they don't look at it on that double-sided scale. They miss that element. They're not really clear on why they're doing it and what they can achieve by doing it. It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate, okay? So let's move on to some other questions if you guys want. I appreciate Miro. Good to see you. Eric, good to see you. Let's see what we got here. Pilote 91 says some platforms take years of experience to get into the 1% of the platform. Can't move from engineer to manager without experience. How to accelerate? Dude, of course. I mean, what do you do? The 1% takes time. I mean, you don't get into the 1% of anything without longevity and experience. Man, you got to pay your dues, my brother. That's how it plays out. You got to pay your dues, my brother. Shit, we didn't get into the top 1% in our industry for 20 years. Breaking my balls, busting my stones every freaking day. We got a video coming out in the next couple of weeks that you guys will love. And I'll make sure that everybody sees it. You will love this video in which I talk about how social media's got everybody's brains all rotted. Everybody thinks that success happens overnight. It's so ridiculous. I was in business 20 years before I even posted on Facebook for the first time ever. So, you know, we really have to get our hands around the fact of how much sacrifice and punishment you have to put into to really get the wheel spinning, especially for entrepreneurs. It doesn't exist like that necessarily in big companies. You can rise up the food chain reasonably fast, especially if you're constantly bringing value to it. But if you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to start something from zero like I did, it's going to take time, decades to get rich, decades, period, end of story. Don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid of that. Aaron says he's about to be a college grad. When would you suggest making 6 figures of income? Do you have any college grads we're making at your company right now? So it's a good question. I have non-college grads at my company making 7 figures in personal income. 7 figures, non-college grads. Guy's got a 2-year degree. My most decorated coworker at my office was captain of his football team at Rice, and he does incredibly well. So I have a number of guys that are just crushing it at my office. So, you know, I don't believe that you should ever make this 6-figure number, dude. You should make what you bring value to. Never limit yourself on this $100,000 6-figure range. Why wouldn't it be 7 figures? Who told you 6 figures? I mean, you need to dig back into my book. All I do is talk about how the money's moved in this book. 100 grand ain't shit. You can't live on it. Now, it depends on what your lifestyle is, but let's be straight about it. When I graduated college in 1991, to be in the top 1% of earners in America, you needed to make $100,000. In 2016, when I finished writing when I started writing You Need More Money, it was $384,000 to be in the top 1% of earners. The money has moved, y'all. Okay? So we're still chasing these numbers, these old numbers, 100, whatever. It don't matter. We need real money, real opportunities to make real money. Okay. So that's it, guys. I don't have much more. We're coming up on 8:30. I appreciate everybody. If you guys got some more questions, I'll jump on any questions you got. Pload91 says, colleagues tell me to change companies every 3 to 5 years for real growth in your career. What's my advice on that? It's total bullshit. It's so ridiculous. It's like such an outdated mindset. My number one guy's been with me 18 years. He's become a multi-millionaire. He lives an incredible lifestyle. Changing every 3 to 5 years. Dude, the only people who change 3 to 5 years are the people who don't bring enough value to the organization that they're with, and they don't know how to leverage it to get more money. By the way, I talk about that process and You Need More Money. How do you get a raise in a week? And you should go and get the book, and you should read that process. Everybody should read the process of how I say you go get a raise in a week. It forces you to constantly bring value to the organization and then leverage up to get paid on that. Okay, you've got to leverage your value to get paid. Now, if your boss says, we don't have any money in the budget, we can't do it, then you're going to punt and you're going to leave. But there's no concept that says every 3 to 5 years you should leave. In fact, if you sent me your resume and every 3 to 5 years you had a different job, the first question I'd say is, why are you leaving all these companies? What's your story, man? Well, I wasn't getting paid. Well, did you prove to your boss that you were bringing in enough value? No, I didn't do much of that. I mean, did you create what I call in my book the annual report? That's what it's called. That's a term that came to me from my friend Bethany Williams, the annual report. Do you know how to create an annual report for yourself? And then go leverage it up to your boss and get paid? Come on, man. Don't believe that bullshit. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. People getting 3, 4, 5% raises per year. It's absolutely insane. Megan says she loves the Audible version of You Need More Money. Thank you for bringing that up, Megan. It's true. I read the book on the Audible version, and you guys can get that on Audible. You Need More Money. There's 220 some odd 5-star reviews on Audible for You Need More Money. There's 100 reviews on Amazon. By the way, if you've read my book, it would be a big deal for me if you would take the time and go to Amazon and review the book. Just we have 100 5-star reviews on You Need More Money right now on Amazon, 200 and something on Audible, but I would love to get more reviews if you guys have read the book. It'd mean a lot to me if you did that. All right, guys, we're hopping off right now. Appreciate it. Great to see everybody. I'll be back with you tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Don't forget, bfssummit.com. The code for tonight is all caps, MATT 100. You got to get there. Spend the $1,000 to get to Dallas and rock and roll. Yeah, Piloch, you can leave your review on Amazon, even though you bought the book on Barnes & Noble. No problem there. I appreciate that. Okay, guys, everyone have a wonderful night. Wonderful to see you guys. Thanks for all the great commentary and the interest. And don't forget my primary takeaway tonight. Spend time writing your thoughts, taking your thoughts from your mind, writing them on paper. I wouldn't even call it a goal setting exercise. I would just call it a lifestyle by design, beginning to move from your dreams onto your paper. And I gave you the example tonight of this work that we did at Business Finishing School. And 2 years ago, I think the count, well, I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I wrote down 15 things that I wanted in my life, and all 15 came true through action and effort and intention. So peace out, everybody. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you down the road.